Hello and welcome to my channel, Shop Talk with Dan the Man. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you've already subscribed, thanks for coming back. Without further ado, let's go on into the shop. Hello, today we're going to be reviewing the RIDGID Edge Belt Sander as well as a Spindle Sander. So the spindle goes up and down just like the belt. So let's jump right in and see how this works. So first you're going to notice on the front we got these throat plates. See if I can give you a better view. There we go. So we got the throat plates as well as the washers that you can swap out. So I'll show you how to change that out in a minute, as well as your different sizes of spindles depending on what you're sanding. So let's jump right in and see how this works. Alright, so on and off switch is located here. You have a safety pin you can remove so that kills the machine, doesn't allow it to start at any point. So if you have children or if you leave your shop and you don't want to leave it unattended, you can pull the safety pin out. So this is pretty straightforward. The belt goes up and down, so I'll fire it on to give you as well as there's a stop block here. So if you have your piece of wood that you're sanding, you can slide it up against your stop block and sand off, of course, some of your board. This has a really rough edge, so this will show you how good of a sand that does. So let's give it a shot. So there's quite a difference in the wood now that I've sanded it. This here is very important. Without the stop block, the piece could venture this way at a steady rate. So I recommend using the stop block for sanding the facial surface. This also has a table that changes angles. So I'll just show you that here. So on the side, you have a dial, and you can turn the dial, and there's various settings to adjust your angle. So you just push this pin in and the table will go to your different angles. So why is that important? If you're doing a piece that requires a beveled spot on it, then you can run it up and touch the sandpaper to give you that angle shot. So I will show you that. Let's fire it up. So as you can see right there, you can change the angle of your board. So you can even round it. I'll show you that. So you can do various angles depending on what you're doing for a project. I did a pencil crayon holder for my daughter. I'll show you that. So basically I used the belt and got my edging all the way around, and at the end here it's a very nice clean angle. So I use this bevel here and Of course, it was just one piece at the time, and I rocked it back and forth until I got the preferred bevel that I was trying to reach for the project. And same with these edgings. You can do that with a table saw with a 45 if you wanted to get that angle. But I just ran it along the belt, and it gave me a nice clean 45 there. You could do the same with the ends if you wanted. So another thing you can do, I mentioned, is the different size. I'll loosen the table here, we'll bring it back up. So I mentioned the spindles. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to remove the belt portion. Oh, it wasn't quite locked. There we go. Perfect. So I'm going to remove the belt, and then I'm going to bring the guard out of the way. And behind, there's an insert, which I can show you. So there's the insert that slides over the machine and puts in the spot that you need to swap out. So I will install that now. So this piece here, it just slides over the bolt. Of course, it's on the inside. It's got a washer and then a lock, unlock head on it. Shows you the picture. So this just slides up. Super easy. It's just a belt. And you can also adjust, I didn't mention this, back and forth, and it brings your sandpaper up and down for your adjustment on this particular unit. So slide that aside, put that in there, clamp her down. So that just sits in there like that, and then depending on the size, we'll use the biggest one. So we're going to need, once that slides in there, you're going to notice there's a gap. So in order to fill that gap, these are the throat plates. So you just grab whatever size fits, and you slide it down in, and it sits in there beautifully. But before we put the locking bolt back on, there's some washers we talked about. So we're going to put one of the big washers. And what the washer does is, this is rubber. Here, I'll bring it in. So the spindle has a piece of rubber core, and the sandpaper actually slides on and off. So when you put the washer on top, it squishes on the rubber and it pinches on the outside, which holds the sandpaper in place. So you're going to want to make sure that that's on. And then let's put on the locking bolt. So lefty tighty in this case, which is kind of weird. Takes a little bit to get used to. Once that's on there, nice and tight, you see that's not going anywhere. It's on there perfectly tight. So if you want, you can put this piece back, but I don't recommend it, because with the Dremel or the spindle going up and down, you want to keep it clear so you can use your piece and kind of work around it. So I'll make sure the table's locked in place, which it is, perfectly flat. So we'll give a little example of that and how that works on your piece. So right now the edge is nice and flat, so I'll show you what the spindle does. So as you can see there, it's a beautiful notch in the wood. So depending on what you're doing, if you want to round, like say an end, so that end is nice and rounded. So these spindles work amazing for that type of project. So as you can see, there's a little difference on either side. So if you want, you can go back and you know, work on that piece to bring it back, or you can do a pencil mark if you want. If you want more of a perfect rounded edge, you can do that. So I'm just going to work on it a little bit more. So it's starting to get there. Yep. So that's kind of what the spindle does. Now, with these projects, you know, if you're just using this for the first time, just get involved with the machine. I mean, you know, this is a scrap piece. Just kind of feel it out. Do a lot of, you know, different types of techniques as far as sanding. The table will move down at an angle and give you that same beveled edge. So I'll show you that right now. So see how I got a nice edge? Just what I did on the pencil crayon holder. You know, you can just play around with it. Like the goal is, you know, there's so many options with this tool to sand. You know, you can get into the smaller spindles if you want to just do a slight bit, or if you need a smaller cut-in, just a little tiny one, depending on what design you're going with. The smaller spindle will just do a small indent, whereas the big one, obviously, you can see it's a pretty good sized crater. But yeah, just the goal is just to get out in your shop, you know, and work with your tools. You know, in this particular case, the sander in Tarja comes to mind for a lot of this type of sanding, where you need edges and you know, smooth sides, and just kind of like work on the piece to kind of form it. It's kind of an artwork at the end of the day. So I'll just show you the pencil crayon holder I made for my daughter one more time. So I did all this on this machine for the sanding to get all my edges, and this was a pretty quick project. I used the drill press to do my holes, but as you can see on the edge, just kind of gave it that nice character I was going for. So that's where I put the spindle on and used this as an angle, so I was able to kind of work the piece and get that angle that I was looking for. So I hope that helps, you know, for the decision whether to buy this sander or not. You know, it's a great plus to your shop, no matter what you're doing. I use it all the time. And of course, the edger for your side, you can get different kinds of sandpaper, like different grits rather. So there's a locking mechanism on the top that just comes forward, and this whole piece will slide off. Yeah, there we go. So the whole thing slides right off, and you can get different grits, and then you just slide the whole thing back on. And if it's not perfectly where it needs to be, that's what this adjustment screw is, and it moves this wheel in and out, this roller rather, and it gives you that exact spacing. And when you're sanding, you don't want your sandpaper to be above this table. So when the roller goes up, the spindle, if you can still see the rubber, that means your sandpaper is too high. It's also good to note that these spindles, you can flip the sandpaper around. So if you get near the end of its life, and so say you use the bottom section for most of your projects and it's starting to wear out, you just flip it over, slide it on, and then it will give you another life, more or less, out of the roll before you have to buy a new one. So yeah, thanks for watching, and please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate your views and also your support. It'll help me build my channel and build more videos and content just like this. So thanks again. Have a good day.